How are you guys doing? Today is November 26, 2020, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and here on this episode of The Elite, first I want to say happy Thanksgiving in the United States. But for this episode, I'm going to get into the Champions League as we have just witnessed week 4 of the group stage matchups, as there are 6 matches because there are 4 teams in each table, which means every team has to play every other team once, or play every team once at home and once on the road. That's a total of 6 games. And the top 2 teams from each table will advance to the knockout stage of Champions League, where they will be selected by draw to play against any of the other 16 teams that advance for the first round. And each round will have 2 legs where they count up the aggregate goal of both teams over both games to decide who advances to the next round. And finally, at the championship game, it's only 1 leg. So after a 2-leg semifinal, it goes to 1 game to decide who wins Champions League for all. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but just to keep you updated with what's going on the table, I'm going to take you group by group to show you the 6 of the 16 teams that have already punched their ticket for the next round, and just to show how mathematically all these other teams can advance. I'm going to take you group by group, starting with Group A. And starting in Group A, Bayern Munich, the reigning Champions League champions, they are 4-0 in the 4 matches that they've played. They have won all 4 of these matches, which gives them 12 points in the table. They are the first team that I will mention that has advanced to the next round, and not only that, they have clinched the best record in their group, as they are 7 points better than the second place team with 2 games left. And the second place team in that group is Atletico Madrid. And the 4 matches they've played, they have 1 win, 2 draws, and 1 loss, which adds up to 5 points total in the table. They are 3rd and 4th place, can mathematically pass them at this point. And Atletico Madrid this upcoming week does face off against Bayern Munich. So Lokomotiv Moscow in 3rd place with 3 points and 3 draws so far in the season. They have a chance to eventually pass up Atletico Madrid if they beat Salzburg, but that's kind of how that's looking. Salzburg is at the bottom of that table. They have 1 draw and 3 losses, which is good enough for 1 point. FC Salzburg can still mathematically pass Atletico Madrid, so the bottom 3 slots are still in play, as Bayern Munich advances pretty easily, and they don't even have to play. They can lose their next 2 games, they still have the best record in this group. In Group B, Borussia Mönchengladbach, coming off of their win against Shakhtar Donetsk, is sitting at the top of Group B. They have 2 wins and 2 draws in their 4 matches played, which is good enough for 8 points. Mathematically, Inter could still theoretically pass them, but Inter would have to score a bunch of goals in their games, and I don't think that's really happening. Borussia Mönchengladbach, they are 4 points ahead of 3rd place, and a win next week for Borussia Mönchengladbach on Tuesday against Inter would be a very big win for them. Continuing along that table, Real Madrid is sitting 2nd with 7 points after their win against Inter. They have 2 wins, a loss, and a draw, which is good enough for 7 points in the table. I think a win could at least eliminate Inter for Real Madrid, but they're still 3 points ahead of Shakhtar Donetsk. It would be a pretty big game for them if Shakhtar was able to win, because Shakhtar is now sitting with 4 points in the table. They have 1 win, 1 draw, and 2 losses. And they're slated to play against Real Madrid next week. They get a chance to tie up Real Madrid, and Real Madrid gets a chance to eliminate Shakhtar Donetsk for good next week. Or even if they draw, Real Madrid eliminates Shakhtar Donetsk. So Shakhtar has to win. And Inter, they're going to face off against Borussia Mönchengladbach, and they have to win. They have 2 draws and 2 losses in the table, which is good enough for 2. Mathematically, they can still make it if Borussia Mönchengladbach loses and they win, and Shakhtar and Real just ends up being a dumpster fire. Inter still mathematically can make it into the next round. So all 4 teams in Group B are in play. In Group C, the current leaders of that group, Manchester City, after their win against Olympiacos, they have 4 wins in their 4 matches played, which is good enough for 12 points in the table. And mathematically, they have clinched the next round. Second place, you have FC Porto with 3 wins and 1 loss. They have 9 points in the table. Right now, mathematically, Olympiacos could still theoretically pass them, but I don't really see it happening. And in last place, it is Marseille with 4 losses in the 4 matches they played. They have 0 points. And because mathematically they cannot catch up with FC Porto with 9 points with 2 matches left, Marseille will be the first team I mentioned that will be relegated to the Europa League following group stage play, because The 16 teams that don't qualify for the knockout stage of Champions League, they get relegated to the Europa League to play against the 16 teams that qualified for Europa League. So it's a 32-team tournament. So yeah, that's pretty much how Champions League. That's pretty much how the tournament itself works. In Group D, following their loss to Atalanta, Liverpool still sits at the top of this group. They have 9 points. And sitting in second, it's Ajax Amsterdam with 2 wins, a draw, and a loss, with 7 points in the table, which is tied with Atalanta. They have a +1 goal differential. That's better. And just looking at that, who they're gonna face next game, Ajax is gonna face off against Liverpool, so Ajax has a chance to overtake them. And Atalanta faces off against FC Midtjylland, and FC Midtjylland, just like Marseille, they have lost all 4 of their games in Champions League, and they will not advance to the next round. They'll get relegated to Europa League. But Liverpool, Ajax, and Atalanta is very well still in play, and that with the standing of Liverpool's team, especially how they're looking health wise, I could very easily see them drop another game in Champions League, and Ajax could make this very interesting. Moving on to Group E, Chelsea and Sevilla were able to advance after Chelsea beat Stade Rennes and Sevilla beat Krasnodar, but Chelsea and Sevilla are sitting at the top of the table, both with 10 points. Chelsea has a goal differential that's 5 goals better than Sevilla. So I think, as of right now, Chelsea holds that number 1 spot, but Sevilla could very well catch them. And looking forward to next Wednesday's games, it looks as though Sevilla is going to play Chelsea, and the winner of that will take the crown in this group, much needed. Or if they draw, Chelsea still holds. They still reign supreme in that group, but it doesn't even matter because both of these teams will advance. In addition to Bayern and Manchester City, these are teams 3 and 4 to have at least clinched a spot in the next round. In Group F, Borussia Dortmund sits at the top of that table as they are now 3-1 on the season. Of course, they had a big win, they had a big win on Tuesday against Club Brugge. And they will go on to face off against Lazio, and Lazio is second in that group with 8 points. They have 2 wins and 2 draws. They were the only team to beat Borussia Dortmund, I believe. But it's, once again, 1 point separates these two teams. And with a win for either of these two teams, they would clinch a spot in the next round. Club Brugge is sitting third with 1 win, 1 draw, and 2 losses. They have 4 points in the table. Mathematically, they can pass Borussia Dortmund and get the number 1 seed in that group. And sitting in last is Zenit St. Petersburg, who has 1 draw and 3 losses so far in Champions League. And theoretically, mathematically, they cannot catch up to Lazio or Borussia Dortmund, which means they will be relegated to Europa League following group stage automatically. But no team from Group F has has clinched that spot, as Dortmund, Lazio, and Club Brugge, the top 3 spots, are only separated by 5 points. Moving on to Group G, FC Barcelona, they are perfect so far in Champions League group stage. They have won all 4 of their games, and they will advance. They have the best record. And Juventus, who has 3 wins and 1 loss, they have 9 points in the table, and they have advanced to the next round. As Dynamo Kiev and Ferencváros, the 3rd and 4th team, they only have 1 draw on the season, as the rest of their 3 games were losses, so they both have 1 point in the table. But because they're 8 points behind Juventus, there is no mathematical way that either of these two teams can make it to the next round. So both these teams, just like Krasnodar and Stade Rennes, will get relegated to the Europa League as soon as group stage finishes. In Group H, Manchester United is sitting at the very top of that group with 9 points after a very big win for them. And looking out to how they match up, they're going to face off against PSG, and PSG sitting second in this table with 6 points. A win for Manchester United could mean that they clinch a spot in the next round. A win for PSG would mean that they would move up and actually tie Man U, even though Man U has a goal differential of that's 7 goals better than PSG. RB Leipzig sitting in third. They have also, just like PSG, they have 2 wins and 2 losses in the group. They have 6 points. They are going to face off against Istanbul Başakşehir. A big win here would mean that they at the least tie Man U, and at the best they could. At the best, they can tie Man, or I'm not completely sure. But with Manchester United and PSG playing each other, this definitely gives a good chance for RB Leipzig to make a big push in this group before their last matchup against Man U. And then Istanbul Başakşehir with 3 points at the bottom of the table. Mathematically, they can still make it because second and third place are only one win better than them. And Manchester United, if they lose out, Istanbul Başakşehir could probably tie them. And if both those games go a crazy way, I guess Başakşehir could cast them on goal differential. But technically, mathematically, they are still eligible to make it into the next round. As of right now, that is what the Champions League is looking like following the fourth fourth match day in Champions League, and we're gonna see how this carries on to next Tuesday, December 1st. Like I said, six teams have already clinched, and over the next 2 weeks, we're gonna see 10. So it's gonna be very interesting just to see how the Champions League is going to stack up moving forward. And once again, because it is Thanksgiving, I am thankful that y'all are listening to all 10, 11 minutes of this piece. I hope, once again, I'm James Sims. This is The Elite. I hope all is well, and have a great Thanksgiving. I hope everyone stays safe. Now, with that said, I want to thank you once again for listening to my piece on Thursday, November 26, 2020. Happy Thanksgiving and peace out.